Welcome, seekers of legend and guardians of story. Today, we step back into the age of heroes, where gods walked among mortals and destiny was carved in bronze and blood. This is the tale of two warriors, Achilles, the peerless son of the sea goddess Thetis, and Hector, the noble defender of Troy. Their clash was not merely a battle of men, but a collision of honor, pride, and fate. Across the windswept plains of Troy, armies marched, kings bargained, and gods interfered in the affairs of mortals. Yet at the heart of the conflict, two names rose above all others: Achilles, swift-footed and relentless, and Hector, brave-hearted and bound to defend his people. Their struggle became the very heartbeat of the Iliad, a story passed down through millennia, echoing across time as a song of glory and tragedy. So join me now as we relive their journey, 40 chapters of passion, rage, sacrifice, and unshakable destiny. Watch carefully, for within this tale lies not only the fall of heroes, but the eternal truth of what it means to fight, to love, and to face the shadow of death itself. The story begins on the shores of Troy. The Greek armies, led by King Agamemnon, have besieged the city for 9 long years. Victory seems close, but pride and fury tear at the unity of their camp. Agamemnon seizes Briseis, the beloved of Achilles, as a prize of war. Insulted and humiliated, Achilles withdraws from battle, vowing not to fight under Agamemnon's command. His absence strikes the heart of the Greek army. The once unstoppable tide of bronze and fire falters. Achilles, burning with rage, sits by the sea, his eyes fixed on the horizon. His mother, the sea goddess Thetis, emerges from the waves, her son's grief echoing like thunder across the heavens. Achilles begs her to intercede with Zeus, king of the gods, to bring ruin upon the Greeks, so they might learn the cost of dishonoring him. Thus begins the chain of fate. The rage of Achilles is not only against Agamemnon, but against destiny itself. The gods stir, watching as the greatest warrior of Greece turns his back, setting the stage for the tragedy to come. Within the high walls of Troy, Hector, prince of the city, watches the unfolding war with heavy eyes. Unlike Achilles, Hector fights not for glory, but for duty, his people, his wife Andromache, and his infant son, Astyanax. Each dawn he dons his armor, the weight of Troy resting on his shoulders. The Trojans look to him as their shield. He rallies soldiers at the Scaean gate, his voice steady even as fear ripples among them. Hector knows Achilles is absent from battle, and for a moment, hope sparks. The Trojans press forward, reclaiming ground once thought lost. The clang of bronze, the cries of men, and the smoke of burning chariots fill the air. Yet, in the quiet of night, Hector walks the battlements, gazing at the stars. He wonders how long Troy can endure. His heart is torn between warrior's duty and a husband's love. Andromache pleads with him to remain, to stay by her side. But Hector smiles softly, knowing that to abandon his post is to abandon his city. Honor drives him forward. Even knowing that death may await, Hector embraces his role as Troy's unbreakable defender. The war of mortals becomes the sport of immortals. On Mount Olympus, the gods gather, their hearts divided between Greeks and Trojans. Hera, queen of the gods, favors the Greeks, while Aphrodite, goddess of love, shields the Trojans. Ares, the god of war, thirsts for battle, and Apollo, the radiant archer, casts his gaze upon Hector with divine favor. The council of gods is no quiet debate. Thunder shakes the heavens, as Zeus declares that fate must run its course. Yet he cannot resist the pleas of Thetis. He agrees to tilt the scales, granting Troy temporary strength until Achilles returns. Down below, Apollo's arrows strike Greek ranks with plague and ruin, while Hera whispers, schemes into the ears of commanders. The mortals, unaware of the grand game, fight as pawns, their lives swept away by forces unseen. The gods, cloaked in splendor, decide the flow of war, each move shaping destiny toward the fateful clash of Hector and Achilles. Character appearances: Zeus, Hera, Aphrodite, Ares, Apollo, Thetis. Character actions: Zeus commands, Hera plots, Aphrodite protects, Trojans, Apollo aids Hector, Eva Stilsvam. AI image prompt: Olympian gods seated on golden thrones above clouds, Zeus wielding thunderbolt, Hera and Aphrodite arguing, Apollo with radiant bow aiming toward Troy, mythic grandeur. Cinematic painting style: amidst the chaos of war stands Paris, Prince of Troy, whose choice of love sparked the entire conflict. Once he had judged Aphrodite as fairest, and in return she gifted him Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world. Stolen from Menelaus, king of Sparta, Helen became the flame that consumed nations. Paris lingers in Troy's palace. Unlike Hector, who bears the burden of war, Helen, draped in sorrow, gazes from the walls, blaming herself for the deaths of countless men. Priam, the aged king, consoles her with wisdom, saying it is the gods, not she, who brought doom upon Troy. Paris, urged by Hector, dons his shining armor and takes the field. His skill with the bow is deadly, yet he lacks the courage of his brother. Still, Helen watches him, torn between guilt and love. Their bond, though cursed, is unbroken, a fragile human thread within the storm of destiny. To end the war swiftly, a duel is proposed. Paris faces Menelaus, husband of Helen, upon the battlefield between armies. The Greeks and Trojans form two walls of shields, silent as the duel begins. Paris strikes first with his bow, but Menelaus shatters the arrows with his shield and charges like a lion. His sword flashes, and soon Paris falters, dragged to the ground by his opponent's strength. Victory seems certain for Menelaus, Helen's stolen honor about to be restored. But Aphrodite, unwilling to lose her chosen prince, intervenes. In a swirl of mist, she lifts Paris from the battlefield and carries him back to Helen's chambers. Menelaus roars in fury, cheated of triumph, as the duel dissolves into chaos. The war, meant to end with single combat, burns hotter than before. The gods will not allow peace. Character appearances: Paris, Menelaus, Helen, Aphrodite, Greek and Trojan armies. Character actions: Paris duels. Menelaus overpowers him. Aphrodite rescues Paris. Helen reluctantly receives him. AI image prompt: Paris and Menelaus locked in brutal duel. Bronze swords clashing. Armies watching in silence. Aphrodite descending in mist to spirit Paris away. Mythic battlefield lighting. Shamed by Paris's retreat, Hector takes command. He strides across the battlefield like a storm, spear flashing, shield unyielding. The Trojans rally, their courage rekindled by their prince. He cuts down Greek champions one by one, his voice thundering above the clash of arms. The Greeks struggle without Achilles. Agamemnon and Odysseus rally their men, but Hector's fury is unstoppable. His chariot wheels crush the earth. His spear finds its mark, and for the first time, the Greeks are driven back toward their ships. That night, Troy rejoices. Fires light the walls, and songs rise into the night sky. Yet Hector finds no peace. He kisses Andromache and Astyanax, but his eyes remain on the battlefield. Duty pulls him forward. Even as love tries to hold him back, among the Greeks, despair grows. The Trojans push closer to their ships, threatening to burn them and end the war. Patroclus, dearest companion of Achilles, watches the suffering of their comrades with a heavy heart. He goes to Achilles, who still refuses to fight, his pride unbroken. Patroclus kneels, begging him to return to the field. But Achilles shakes his head. His anger toward Agamemnon outweighs the cries of the dying, desperate. Patroclus pleads for another path. "Lend me your armor," he says, "so the Trojans will believe you have returned." Achilles hesitates, but the bond of friendship compels him. He agrees, warning Patroclus not to pursue Hector. Patroclus dons the armor of Achilles, shining like the sun. The Greeks cheer, their hope rekindled at the sight. But the gods watch closely, for this choice will ignite the turning point of fate. The battlefield roars with new life as Patroclus, clad in the armor of Achilles, charges forth. The Trojans tremble, believing the mighty warrior has returned. Spears falter, shields shatter, and the tide begins to turn. Patroclus fights with a fire born of loyalty, not pride. He strikes down Trojan captains, scattering their forces. The Greeks rally behind him, their voices rising in thunderous cheers. For a moment, it seems as though the gods themselves have returned favor to the Greeks. From the walls of Troy, Hector watches the false Achilles carve through his warriors. Rage builds in his chest, but so too does fear. He knows this warrior must be stopped. As Patroclus drives the Trojans back to the gates, his heart swells with glory. Yet he forgets Achilles' warning. In his zeal, he presses further than he should. Fate has already begun to weave the threads of his undoing. The gods do not look kindly upon deception. Apollo, protector of Troy, sees Patroclus disguised as Achilles. Enraged, the radiant archer descends upon the battlefield. As Patroclus pushes toward the Scaean gate, Apollo strikes. Not with a blade, but with divine force. He blinds the warrior, strikes his back, and knocks the armor from his body. The Greeks gasp as their shining hero falters. Patroclus stumbles, still fighting, but his strength wanes. He is not Achilles. He cannot bear the wrath of a god. The Trojans surge forward, their courage renewed by Apollo's hand. Hector seizes the moment. He drives his spear into Patroclus, who collapses in the dust. With his last breath, Patroclus whispers, "Achilles, you will avenge me." His soul departs, and with it, the fragile hope of the Greeks shatters. Character appearances: Patroclus, Hector, Apollo, Trojan warriors, Greek soldiers. Character actions: Apollo strikes Patroclus. Patroclus falters. Hector slays him. The battlefield falls silent as Patroclus lies still, slain by Hector. A hush spreads through both armies, for they know this moment will awaken a storm. Hector strips Achilles' armor from Patroclus, claiming it as a prize. The Trojans cheer, but a shadow falls over them. For Hector, though triumphant, feels the weight of destiny pressing closer. Among the Greeks, despair turns to dread. They bear Patroclus's broken body back to their camp. Men weep openly, for he was loved by all. In the tent of Achilles, the truth is revealed. The mighty warrior, who turned from battle, sees his closest companion dead. Achilles falls to his knees. His cry pierces the sky, so fierce that even the gods tremble. Thetis rises from the sea once more, knowing what must come. The rage of Achilles, once contained, will now burn brighter than ever before. Dawn breaks, and Achilles emerges clad in his god-forged armor. His presence alone reignites the Greek army. The sun strikes his shield, and light scatters across the battlefield like fire. He calls the soldiers to arms, his voice carrying the promise of vengeance. Hector will pay, he declares, and Troy will tremble. The Greeks, emboldened, prepare for battle once more. Yet, before he departs, Achilles kneels by Patroclus' body. He swears upon his friend's memory that Hector will not live to see another sunset. His tears fall upon the earth, but his heart is hardened into steel. When he takes the field, the Trojans quail. Even Hector, proud and unyielding, feels the weight of destiny pressing closer. The clash between these two warriors is inevitable. And all know it will end in blood. Dawn breaks, and Achilles emerges clad in his god-forged armor. His presence alone reignites the Greek army. The sun strikes his shield, and light scatters across the battlefield like fire. He calls the soldiers to arms, his voice carrying the promise of vengeance. Hector will pay, he declares, and Troy will tremble. The Greeks, emboldened, prepare for battle once more. Yet before he departs, Achilles kneels by Patroclus' body. He swears upon his friend's memory that Hector will not live to see another sunset. His tears fall upon the earth, but his heart is hardened into steel. When he takes the field, the Trojans quail. Even Hector, proud and unyielding, feels the weight of destiny pressing closer. The clash between these two warriors is inevitable, and all know it will end in blood. The battlefield trembles as Achilles steps forward, clad in the armor of gods. His very presence is a storm, and his voice, a roar of vengeance, shakes the hearts of mortals. Before a single blow is struck, he cries out, calling upon the Trojans to face him. The sound splits the air like thunder, and the Trojans falter. Many turn and flee, scattering like leaves before the wind. Achilles' eyes burn with unrelenting fire. He seeks Hector, but any Trojan who dares cross his path is struck down without mercy. His spear flashes like lightning, his chariot wheels roll like thunder. The ground drinks deeply of blood as he cuts through ranks, unstoppable, unyielding. From Olympus, the gods watch. Even Zeus knows the hour of destiny has drawn near. The wrath of Achilles, long restrained, has finally been unleashed, and the world itself quakes beneath it. Achilles pursues the Trojans relentlessly. Many rush into the river Scamander, seeking escape, but the river runs red with blood as Achilles cuts them down. His fury is unending, his vengeance absolute. The river god, Scamander himself, rises in anger, unable to endure the slaughter. Waves surge against Achilles, threatening to drown him beneath the current. But Achilles fights even nature itself, striking the waters with his spear, refusing to yield. The gods intervene once more. Hera and Hephaestus unleash fire against the river, forcing it to retreat. Steam hisses, and the battlefield becomes a furnace of smoke and flame. Through it all, Achilles stands unmoved. His wrath cannot be quenched, not by men, not by rivers, not by gods. Only Hector remains, the final shadow upon his vengeance. Inside the walls of Troy, panic spreads. Mothers weep, fathers tremble, and children cling to their families as Achilles' fury draws closer. The once mighty Trojan army is broken, their champions fallen. Priam, aged king of Troy, prays to the gods for mercy, but even he knows fate is no longer theirs to command. Hector, meanwhile, stands silent on the battlements, watching the devastation. His heart pounds, not with fear, but with grim resolve. Andromache pleads with him, begging him not to face Achilles. She clutches their son, Astyanax, tears falling like rain. But Hector knows he cannot hide. If he does not stand, Troy will fall in shame. The Trojans look to their prince, their last hope, and though his soul is heavy, Hector takes up his spear and prepares to meet his destiny. The battlefield grows quiet as Hector steps beyond the gates of Troy. Alone he waits, his spear steady, his eyes fixed upon the horizon. The Trojans watch from the walls, their breaths held in dread. Then Achilles comes. His armor gleams like fire, his stride unyielding, his spear a ray of doom. The two greatest warriors of their age stand face to face, the world holding its breath. Hector's heart wavers. He considers retreat, but pride holds him fast. He knows the eyes of Troy are upon him. There can be no flight, only battle. Achilles sneers, his voice filled with scorn. You robbed me of Patroclus. Now you shall pay with your life. And so begins the dance of destiny. The clash that poets will sing for all eternity, the clash begins. Spears fly, shields ring, and the dust of Troy rises into the air. Hector strikes first, his spear glancing off Achilles' divine shield. Achilles counters, his spear flashing like a bolt of lightning. They circle, each blow echoing like thunder. Hector fights with the strength of a father, a prince defending his people. Achilles fights with the fury of grief, a godlike storm of vengeance. At last, Hector falters. His spear breaks, his shield splinters. Achilles drives forward, unstoppable. In one swift thrust, his spear pierces Hector's heart. His heart, the prince of Troy, falls, his blood soaking the earth. With his last breath, Hector begs Achilles to return his body to Troy, to spare his family the shame of dishonor. But Achilles, consumed by rage, refuses. He ties Hector's body to his chariot and drags it across the battlefield. The Trojans cry out from the walls, their hearts breaking. The duel of destiny is ended, and with it, the fate of Troy is sealed. From the high walls of Troy, a cry rises louder than the clash of armies. Wives, mothers, and children watch in horror as Achilles drags the lifeless body of Hector across the plain. Dust covers his once shining armor, and the sound of his body striking the ground tears at the hearts of his people. Andromache collapses in grief, clutching little Astyanax. Priam, the aged king, tears his robes, his voice breaking as he mourns his son. Helen, too, weeps, for Hector had always been kind to her, never casting blame for the curse that brought war to Troy. The city shudders in sorrow, for though its walls still stand, its heart is broken. Hector, its defender, is gone, and all know the fall of Troy is now only a matter of time. Though his vengeance is fulfilled, Achilles finds no peace. Patroclus lies silent, and the hollow triumph gnaws at him. Each night, he sits beside his friend's body, whispering words no one else can hear. He refuses food, refuses sleep. His rage has burned out, leaving only emptiness. Even the Greeks watch in unease, for they see not victory in their hero, but a man broken by grief. Thetis, ever watchful, urges him to let go of anger. But Achilles cannot. He still drags Hector's body around Patroclus's tomb each day, dishonoring his foe. Yet his heart remains unsatisfied. The gods, displeased, decide the torment must end. They know mortal anger cannot last forever, and mercy must temper vengeance. Soon, the path will open for reconciliation. Though Achilles does not yet see it, one night, guided by Hermes, Priam, king of Troy, slips into the Greek camp. Old, frail, and dressed in simple robes, he comes not as a king, but as a father. He enters the tent of Achilles, where the warrior sits brooding. Kneeling before him, Priam clasps his hands, and with trembling voice, he begs, "Give me my son." No ransom, no gold, only his body, so I may bury him with honor. Achilles, stunned, looks upon the aged king. In Priam's grief, he sees his own father far away in Greece, and for the first time, his rage softens. Tears fall as the two men, enemies bound by sorrow, share in their mourning. At last, Achilles agrees. Hector's body will be returned. The cycle of vengeance pauses, if only for a moment, under the weight of shared humanity. At dawn, the body of Hector is carried back to Troy. The Trojans pour from the gates, their cries rising to the heavens. Priam walks at the head, tears upon his face, while Andromache follows, her son in her arms, broken with grief. The funeral pyre is built, towering high. Priests chant prayers, and offerings are laid at Hector's side, food, armor, and treasures for the afterlife. Helen, her voice trembling, speaks of his kindness, her words soft as falling rain. The fire is lit, and flames consume the body of Troy's greatest defender. Smoke coils into the sky, carrying Hector's spirit to the realm of the dead. The people of Troy stand together in mourning, yet even in sorrow a hush of pride lingers. For Hector, though slain, will live forever in the memory of his people. With Hector gone, a heavy silence settles over Troy. The Trojans know their fate has been sealed, though the moment has not yet come. Within the city, men sharpen spears, women weave burial shrouds, and children cling to their mothers. The Greeks, too, prepare. They whisper of Achilles, whose wrath has burned brighter than the sun. They know Troy cannot stand forever, and soon the gods themselves will bring the war to its end. Achilles, though reconciled with Priam, remains restless. His heart has known grief and vengeance, but peace still eludes him. He walks the shore, gazing out at the endless sea, his thoughts drifting toward destiny. Far above, the gods hold their silence. Fate moves like an unseen tide, carrying both mortals and immortals toward the fall of Troy and the final reckoning of Achilles. Though Hector is gone, Paris remains. Grief gnaws at him, but shame too, for he knows his cowardice has stained Troy. Yet, in the shadows of the palace, he steels his resolve. Paris cannot be Hector, yet he must still fight. Guided by Apollo, he strings his bow once more. His arrows, swift and silent, strike down Greek captains who press too close to the walls. Though not the warrior his brother was, Paris proves himself deadly from afar. Helen watches him, her heart torn. She sees both the man who began this war and the man who now desperately tries to defend his city. To her, Paris is both curse and salvation. The Trojans find brief hope in his arrows, yet all know that Paris cannot fill Hector's place. The shadow of Achilles looms too large. Still, for a fleeting moment, Troy breathes again. The gods, weary of endless war, conspire to bring Achilles to his destined end. Apollo whispers into Paris's ear, guiding his hand toward fate. On the battlefield, Achilles rages, cutting down Trojans without end. His armor blazes, his spear strikes like thunder, and no man dares stand before him. Yet even the greatest warrior has a mortal weakness. From the walls, Paris draws his bow. The string hums, the arrow soars, guided not by Paris alone, but by Apollo's divine hand. It strikes Achilles in the heel, the only place the river Styx did not protect. Achilles stumbles, shock flashing in his eyes. For the first time, death touches him. The Greeks cry out, rushing to their hero's side. As the Trojans gasp from the walls, the mighty Achilles falls, his blood staining the earth. His eyes lift to the sky as though searching for Patroclus, and a bitter smile curves upon his lips. His time has come, as even heroes cannot escape fate. The Greeks lift his body, their cries echoing across the battlefield. Odysseus, Ajax, and Agamemnon rally to protect their fallen champion, cutting down Trojans who dare approach. On Olympus, Thetis weeps, her son returned to the destiny she feared since his birth. Zeus himself nods in solemn silence. Achilles, greatest of men, has met his end not by blade, but by the unseen hand of fate. The Trojans rejoice, for their tormentor is gone. Yet in their hearts, fear lingers, for they know the Greeks will not leave their hero unavenged. The Greeks build a towering pyre by the sea, greater even than Hector's. Upon it they lay Achilles, wrapped in cloaks of gold, his divine armor placed beside him. Priests chant, libations are poured, and warriors cut their hair in mourning. Thetis rises from the waves, bringing gifts of the sea, rare treasures and shining vessels, to honor her son. As the fire is lit, flames roar skyward, and smoke coils into the heavens. The Greeks weep openly, for their greatest champion is gone. Even Agamemnon bows his head, humbled by the loss. When the fire dies, Achilles' ashes are gathered and placed beside those of Patroclus, so that even in death, the two companions may remain together. Their bond, forged in war, endures beyond the grave. With the death of Achilles, even the gods grow silent. On Olympus they watch as mortals grieve, and for once, no thunder shakes the heavens, no quarrels split the skies. Zeus declares that the age of heroes nears its end. The great champions, Hector, Patroclus, Achilles, have all fallen, and soon Troy itself will crumble. The world of men will change, but their names will echo forever. Apollo, though triumphant, bows his head, knowing the arrow of fate was cruel but necessary. Hera and Athena remain fixed upon Troy, already scheming for its downfall. For the Greeks and Trojans alike, the war enters its final stage. Without Achilles, the Greeks must find another way to breach the city. Without Hector, Troy stands vulnerable. The balance tilts, and destiny sharpens its blade. The death of Achilles leaves the Greek camp shrouded in gloom. Fires burn low, and warriors speak in hushed tones, for their invincible champion is gone. The Trojans, emboldened, press their advantage, and the walls of Troy seem stronger than ever. Agamemnon paces in frustration. Odysseus plots in silence, and Ajax sharpens his blade with grim resolve. But no matter their strength, they know none can match the might of Hector or Achilles. The war, stretched into years, feels endless. Yet within this despair lies determination. The Greeks swear they will not return home in shame. Troy must fall, or they will perish upon its walls. Though their greatest warrior is gone, cunning and unity may yet deliver victory. The gods, watching, stir the embers of destiny once more, for the war of Troy has not ended. It has merely entered its final act. Though Achilles is gone, his divine armor remains, a gift from the gods forged by Hephaestus himself. The Greeks decide it must not lie unused. Whoever bears it will lead them against Troy. A contest is held between Ajax and Odysseus, the two greatest left among them. Ajax, towering and strong, claims his right by valor. Odysseus, clever and cunning, speaks of wisdom and strategy. The Greeks are divided, but at last the armor is awarded to Odysseus. Ajax, humiliated, withdraws in silence. His pride wounded, he falls into despair. In the dark of night, madness seizes him, and he turns his blade upon himself. The Greeks wake to find their second champion lost, and sorrow deepens in their hearts. The armor of Achilles, once a symbol of strength, becomes a curse of pride and tragedy. Within Troy, hope flickers. Hector. Hector is gone, but the walls remain unbroken. Each day, Trojans repair the battlements, and each night they pray to their gods for deliverance. Priam, though old and weary, encourages his people. Helen tends to the wounded, her beauty shadowed by grief. Paris continues to loose arrows, yet his courage wavers. Still, the city clings to life. The Greeks hurl themselves against the gates, but Troy endures. The Scaean gate, the proud towers, the mighty walls, built, some say, by the hands of gods, stand firm. For 10 long years, Troy has withstood the greatest warriors of Greece. But whispers spread, no wall is eternal. Even stone has weakness, and cunning may succeed where strength has failed. The end approaches, though the Trojans cannot yet see it. Odysseus, ever cunning, conceives a plan unlike any before. Strength cannot break Troy, he says, but deception can. He orders a massive wooden horse to be built, hollow within, tall as the gates of Troy. Inside, hidden Greek warriors will wait. The rest of the army will pretend to sail away, leaving the horse as an offering to the gods. The Trojans, believing their enemies defeated, will draw it into their city. The Greeks labor in secret, shaping the towering figure of wood. Its head stretches to the sky, its body vast enough to hold many champions. It is both a gift and a trap, the final weapon of the Greeks. When at last it is complete, they place it before Troy's gates and withdraw to their ships. The stage is set for the final deception, one that will decide the fate of empires. Wittumer is at dawn. The Trojans find the horse standing before their gates. Its towering frame astonishes them, its craftsmanship wondrous. Some believe it a divine gift left by the Greeks in surrender. Priam marvels at it, while the people cheer, believing the war is ended at last. Helen, however, gazes at the horse with unease. Her heart whispers of trickery, yet her voice is drowned by celebration. Only Laocoon, priest of Troy, warns against it. "Beware of Greeks bearing gifts," he cries. He hurls a spear into the horse's side, and the hollow interior echoes like thunder. Fear ripples through the crowd. But then a miracle occurs. Two great serpents rise from the sea, slithering across the sand. They crush Laocoon and his sons in their coils, then vanish into the waves. The Trojans, struck with awe, believe it a sign from the gods. Ignoring the warning, they drag the horse into the city. Destiny smiles, for Troy has sealed its fate. Troy rejoices. The Greeks are gone, their ships vanished beyond the horizon. The horse, now resting within the city, is hailed as a divine blessing. Torches blaze, wine flows, and laughter fills the night air. The Trojans feast, their songs echoing through streets that have known too much sorrow. Children dance, women sing, and warriors finally lay down their arms. For the first time in 10 long years, Troy breathes as though peace has returned. But as the fires burn low and sleep claims the weary shadows stir, the city, lulled into celebration, does not see the doom already in its heart. Within the wooden horse, Greek warriors wait in silence, their swords gripped tight, their eyes fixed on destiny. The night deepens, Troy slumbers, and fate sharpens its blade. At midnight, the moonlight glistens on Troy's towers. All is still, save for the creak of wood. From within the horse, a hatch slowly opens. A rope unfurls, and shadows slip down into the sleeping city. Odysseus leads them, his eyes sharp with cunning. Menelaus follows, eager to reclaim Helen. One by one, Greek warriors spill into the streets, their armor darkened to blend with night. They move swiftly, slitting throats of guards, opening the city gates. Outside, the Greek fleet, which had hidden behind an island, returns. Silent oars carry ships to shore, and soon the full army floods into Troy. The horse, once hailed as a gift, becomes the womb of destruction. The Greeks, reborn from its belly, deliver the doom of Troy. The gates burst open. Greek warriors flood the streets, torches blazing, swords gleaming. Houses ignite, temples crumble, and the night fills with screams. Troy, once proud, is consumed in fire. Men are cut down in their sleep. Women are dragged from their homes. Children cry as flames engulf their city. The Greeks, driven by vengeance and greed, show no mercy. Priam, the aged king, clings to the altar of Zeus, but Neoptolemus, son of Achilles, strikes him down without hesitation. Blood stains the temple floor. Helen, silent and pale, watches as Menelaus storms toward her. She trembles, unsure whether to face wrath or forgiveness. Troy, the city of gods and kings, burns. The flames rise high, a beacon of ruin that will be remembered for eternity. Amidst the chaos, Hector's widow Andromache is seized. Her cries echo as Astyanax, her young son, is torn from her arms. The Greeks, fearing the child may one day avenge Troy, cast him from the walls. His small body falls into the dust, a cruel end to the last heir of Hector. Andromache collapses, her screams drowned by fire and battle. She is dragged away, destined for slavery in a foreign land. Once the wife of Troy's greatest champion, she becomes a captive. her future filled with sorrow. The gods turn their faces, for even Olympus mourns the cruelty of men. But fate is unyielding, and Troy's destruction spares none, not even the innocent. The blood of Hector's line is ended, and with it the final hope of Troy. Neoptolemus, son of Achilles, carves a path of carnage through Troy. Young and merciless, he wields his father's legacy like a weapon, determined to prove himself greater. He slays Trojan princes, priests, and warriors without pause. His cruelty surpasses even that of Achilles, for where Achilles fought for honor and grief, Neoptolemus kills with cold delight. At the altar of Apollo, he strikes down Polyxena, daughter of Priam, offered as a sacrifice to appease his father's spirit. Her blood stains the sacred ground, a final insult to Troy's gods. The Trojans who survive whisper that Achilles' son is more terrifying than the hero himself. His wrath is untempered by compassion, and his cruelty cements Troy's ruin. The shadow of Achilles lives on, but twisted into something darker, something without mercy. When the fires die and the screams fade, Troy lies in ashes. Its proud towers crumble, its temples shattered, and its people enslaved. Greek warriors round up the survivors, women, children, and elders, driving them toward the ships. Andromache, once noble, is led away in chains, her eyes empty from grief. Hecuba, the aged queen, stumbles beside her, stripped of crown and dignity. Helen, though spared, walks silently at Menelaus's side, her beauty now shadowed by sorrow. The Greeks claim their prizes, dividing captives as spoils of war. Some cry out to the gods, but the heavens remain silent. The victor's triumph is hollow, for though Troy is gone, its curse lingers. Among the ruins, Priam's throne lies broken, his lineage scattered. The city of Ilium, once the jewel of the East, is no more, but its story will echo through ages, a warning carved into memory that no empire, no matter how mighty, escapes fate. With Troy destroyed, the Greeks prepare to sail home. Their ships are heavy with treasure, slaves, and memories of a war that devoured a generation. But the gods are not yet finished with them. Agamemnon dreams of glory, yet his fate lies in blood. For betrayal awaits him in Mycenae. Odysseus longs for Ithaca, but storms and monsters will bar his way, testing him for 10 long years. Menelaus reclaims Helen, though their love is scarred forever by war. Some never return at all, lost to the wrath of Poseidon or the snares of the fates. Victory is theirs, but peace is not. The shadow of Troy follows them across the seas, for no man can escape the curse of a war born from pride and desire. The Greeks sail, their sails filled with wind, but their hearts burdened with sorrow. The price of triumph has been too great. The war is over, but its story has only begun. Poets and bards carry the memory across lands, weaving it into verses that will echo for all time. Hector, the noble defender, and Achilles, the relentless avenger, 2 names forever bound by destiny. Their duel was not only the clash of warriors, but of honor and wrath, love and grief, humanity and fate. One died defending his home, the other died seeking vengeance for a friend. Both are immortal now, carved into the soul of legend. From ashes, the tale of Troy rises higher than its towers ever stood. For though the city burned, its story became eternal, carried on the tongues of men and the breath of gods. And so we end where all stories begin, with memory. For as long as this tale is told, Hector and Achilles live on, not as shadows of the past, but as eternal flames in the heart of humankind. And so, dear friends, our journey through the ashes of Troy comes to an end. You have walked beside heroes, kings, and gods. You have witnessed love and rage, courage and despair, the triumphs of men and the cruelty of fate. The tale of Achilles and Hector is not merely about battle. It is about the essence of humanity. It asks us, what do we live for? What do we fight for? Is it glory, honor, love, or the bonds we hold dear? Though centuries have passed, these questions remain as alive as they were on the fields of Troy. Stories such as these remind us that even when cities fall and heroes perish, memory is eternal. Their fire still burns in our hearts, teaching us that life's greatest strength lies not only in power, but in the choices we make, the love we protect, and the legacy we leave behind. Thank you for walking this path with me. May the voices of Hector and Achilles echo in your soul, and may their tale remind you that even in loss, greatness endures. Until we meet again, carry the fire of story within you